Good morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my morning news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. Sununu, Phelps clash in governor debate. Candidates spear over handling of COVID-19 pandemic and legislative records. The candidates for New Hampshire governor clashed early and often Monday night in a debate that focused largely on the state's response to COVID-19 pandemic, along with issues of race, justice, and climate change. Incumbent Republican Governor Chris Sununu is running for re-election against Democrat State Senator Majority Leader Dan Phelps. Sununu spent much of the debate highlighting the state's response to the pandemic, while Phelps was often on the attack, trying to tie Sununu to President Donald Trump and policies that Phelps said would hurt Granite State health care. Several times throughout the debate, Phelps asked Sununu whether he would continue to think of himself as a Trump guy through and through, and whether he would be proud to vote for Trump. Sununu never responded to the question, and instead focused on his administration's response to the pandemic. We wrote the playbook and did a good job as a team working with the Division of Public Health and the businesses to reopen and to have a sorry about that, everyone. To have a successful summer, Sununu said. There are some restrictions we could put in place down the road, but we are far from where we were. We have done a great job, and there is no reason we cannot keep up the success. Phelps said he has the battleground to lead the state through the pandemic. For years, as a legal aid lawyer, I battled the health insurance industry to get access to health care for Granite Staters, working families, Phelps said. I did the same in the state Senate, delivering real results. Prescription, drug relief, Medicaid expansion, working to expand health care access. That's what we've got to be focused on right now. Phelps accused Sununu of wanting to repeal the Affordable Care Act based on past statements the governor has made about the legislation. Governor Chris Sununu, these are your own words. You ran on the platform of repealing Obamacare, Phelps said. You said you supported Trump because he would finally end horrible programs like Obamacare. But Sununu said he has worked to defend the program. I am the one of the few Republican governors in the country actually fighting to keep the Affordable Care Act, Sununu said. New Hampshire is on the lawsuit today, fighting to keep the Affordable Care Act, bucking the trend. Sununu said the state's response to COVID-19 pandemic has been a model for the country. He said the state has worked well to keep hospitalizations low, even as cases have climbed back up again in recent weeks. Phelps criticized the governor for vetoing legislation that have called for an independent review of how the spread of the virus was handled in long-term care facilities. But Sununu said the Department of Health and Human Services has done its own reviews, and the state has been transparent with its health data and aid expedites. Phelps again tried to tie Sununu to the president when talking about the state's guidance for reopening schools. While most of the state's reopening guidance had specific requirements and recommendations, the school guidance was much less direct, outlining options for schools and putting the decision in the hands of local school districts. The biggest thing facing our schools, without question, is the lack of reopening public health standards, Phelps said. With 5 or 6 weeks to go before schools were going to reopen, people were expecting Governor Chris Sununu to actually lay forth some public health standards. He threw up his hands, punted it down to the local level, just like Trump punted it down to local level on schools. Sununu pointed to the lack of outbreaks in schools as evidence that New Hampshire's approach has worked. The number one request of stakeholders was to make sure we have some flexibility, because what happens in a third grade classroom in Colebrook is very different than what's happening at Manchester Central High School, Sununu said. By providing that flexibility, what's the result? 85% of our schools are open in some fashion. We have no outbreaks. It's a huge success. The debate touched on racial strife that has been seen across the country in wake of police killings of unarmed black people. Sununu launched a commission after George Floyd was killed by police in Minneapolis, and he touted the findings of that commission, all of which he has endorsed. With the first Black Lives protest was going to happen on the streets of Manchester, I picked up the phone and said, "We support you. We support you and the message, and we will work with police," Sununu said. The result isn't just talk. The result has been allowing the Law Enforcement Accountability Commission to come together. Phelps again used the issue as a way to tie Sununu to Trump, who has been criticized for his diverse rhetoric on issue of race. The senator also talked about his support for addressing disappointive racial incarceration at state prison. Systemic racism doesn't mean everyone in the system is racist. It means policies and practices have a disappointive negative impact on community of color, Phelps said. So we need to look at the sentence and look at the low-level novelist offenders and make sure that it's appropriate and make sure we do it in a common sense way. The two also speared over the issues of climate change and what the state is doing to address the problem. Phelps said the governor vetoed numerous bills on issues such as net metering that were intended to help encourage solar installations. We did agree on a couple of things, including Governor Sununu signed my bill to enable communities to do community aggression, unlock solar savings for communities, Phelps said. But he also vetoed 14 pieces of clean energy legislation, energy efficiency, clean energy, solar distributed generation, net metering, and 3 net metering bills. In fact, all 3 had bipartisan support. So this fundamentally is not a Democrat problem or a Republican problem. Quite frankly, the failure to move forward is a Chris Sununu problem. Sununu said he doesn't want to the state to move forward with a massive solar arrays, but instead target them to places such as mobile home parks and long-term care facilities. He said he has sought to balance the cost with the benefits. There is a balance in a solution to all of this, but it isn't just saying yes to everything and letting giant solar development companies take all the money, Sununu said. And that is it for this morning news report right here on the Riley King Network. And thank you for watching this morning news report. Have a great rest of your day. See you back here later on today for another news report. Goodbye, everyone.